I try and catch myself when I'm really frustrated about things. Because I think the natural thing we do is to like take it out on the people that are closest to us, right? Not intentionally, but like we're mad with something, and then that person,
it just comes out.
yeah, they're trying to talk to us about something, and you're just like, yo, like blah 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 blah, and you're like putting your problem you have now on them. So I try in those moments, unsuccessfully a lot, right? But I try in those moments to like take a step back and remind myself like these are problems that are like part of like owning a business, or these are problems that are part of being a YouTuber. And like if I can't deal with these part of the process, then like I shouldn't be here.
3, 2, 1.
Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome to Everforward Radio, coming at you from Austin, Texas, here in the IBL HQ studios. Thank you guys so much for having me. And my guest today, David, aka How to Beast. Dude, welcome to the show, man.
What's going on, bro? It's good to have you here.
Thank you.
I was gonna say it's good to be here, but I mean I do live here, but I don't live in the studio. That being said,
yeah, he just squats in the rack outside. Dude, this is like a podcast back-to-back week for you.
with the tunings.
Yeah, I was just catching up on Max's show, Don't Be Sour,
Yep.
on the flight in, and which was perfect. I mean, I was listening to it because I've been loving his show, but then it was just perfect. All right, cool. I'm just gonna like listen and roll right into sitting down with you now.
Perfect. Yeah, no, it was good. It was a good time with him. I'm excited for this one.
Well, we don't have any shots on this show.
That's all right. We can make it work.
Contrary to popular belief, this is not wheatgrass. We can't just like rip shots there, but
It's not gonna work. No.
I'll figure out something new for next time. But dude, I learned in that, and that's what I love about podcasts and long format content in general, is like you sit down with somebody, especially, you know, I was asking you before, do you do a lot of interviews? Do you do a lot of your story in that kind of long format? And you said, not really.
Nah, man, it's funny because everything seems like it's, well, long form content is also picking up, right? But at the same, everything's going to the extremes. It's either like Instagram Reels or like 2-hour podcasts.
It's 7
like
seconds
the stuff
or
in the
3
middle.
hours.
Yeah, exactly. It's getting squeezed out, it feels like.
What's it like doing something like that? Because you do a lot of the other social media platforms. Was it unique? Was it a stretch for you to kind of like expand an idea or ideas or even your story for that long? Because if you don't do it regularly, telling your story for that long and just talking about what you do and how you got there, it's kind of foreign, right?
Yeah, no, that's a good point. I'm so used to YouTube, which is like, I think in like 2-minute chunks. Whatever idea I have, I got 2 minutes to express this, and then I got to move on to the next one.
Yeah.
So it wasn't like
transition.
Super, yeah, exactly. 2 minutes, drone shot, something else, boom. All right, next 2 minutes.
In that, like I said, in that format, like I learned so much about people, because I think like you're saying things that you might not think or don't seem so important or relevant to who you are, because it's just who you are.
Yeah.
And but I heard some stuff that I was just like, damn, I had no idea. Like, check mark. Gladiator, favorite movie.
Yeah.
You got a Marcus Aurelius tattoo.
You're big into stoicism as well, right? The Marcus, that was the first tattoo that started all this off, and the rest of it's all kind of like Roman themed things.
All right, so start there, man. So like,
okay,
to do something like that, like to put this design, to put a sleeve on your body, you got to have like a meaningful start. But like to go then with like stoicism, Marcus Aurelius, man, like I'm all ears. I'm intrigued. So why is he so meaningful to you, and like why that tattoo?
So I guess when I was first really getting into like I was like digesting self-improvement books, right? And one of the first ones that really like changed how I thought was A Guide to the Good Life, The Ancient Art of Stoic Joy. And that's like, it kind of like takes like Seneca, Marcus Aurelius, it kind of like just condenses them into, at least for me at the time, it felt like pretty digestible ways to think about like modern concepts. And at the time I also just like wanted a tattoo. I have a small one on my back. But I wanted to start something bigger on my arm. And I had this whole idea of like, I don't even remember what it was, but it was some like intense idea of like all these different things going on. And Marcus Aurelius was just like a small part of it.
Yeah.
And then I was living in Boston. I went to the tattoo shop, and God, man, I was like not selective at all about the artist. I went in and I was like, I would like to get a tattoo. And they're like, oh, like look at our books to choose an artist. I was like, oh, I like this guy. Like, yeah, he's booked. What about this guy? I was like, oh, okay, I'll go with that guy. And I go and talk to him, and I tell him this big idea. He's like, man, we're going to pick one thing, and we're going to do a big, I think we could do a big Marcus. I was like, okay, let's do it. So it's kind of, it wasn't the most intentional. I mean, it was intentional too. And I didn't go in like, I need Marcus on my arm. I was like, yeah, let's just get that in there.
So you're available and you like Marcus. Okay, cool. Let's just roll with it.
That was enough.
But I mean, that brings up a really great concept about Marcus Aurelius' teachings and writings, and just bringing ancient philosophies and ancient ideas into the modern world.
Yeah.
Like we're humans, we're the same people.
Yeah.
Like technology and world advancements just come with time. And as civilizations expand and grow and evolve, like so do what we have. But really at our core, we're the same fucking human beings. Making the same mistakes, trying to learn from the same mistakes, trying to find security, trying to find love, trying to find happiness. So what do you pull from the ancient texts, ancient civilizations? Like this very basic old world modern man, well, ancient man into a modern man.
Well, just the way that like the Stoics, and obviously you're looking at like Marcus Aurelius, who was like an emperor of the Roman Empire, which controlled, I think at that time, was the vast majority of the
Kind
world.
of a big deal.
Yeah. And then you're seeing though that he's bringing it down to like these day-to-day struggles of like how I deal with like annoying people, basically. And then that can be plugged and played regardless of where you live, what time frame you live in.
True.
And it's all like simplified into I don't know, like the core concept, at least the way that I've internalized it, is like the reminder of this being here is whenever this shit hits the fan, it's like, well, I just need to refocus on like what I have control over. Like the stock markets have just crashed very badly the last few weeks, and that's one of those things is everyone I'm sure is feeling like pain. It's like, what, like, wow, I wish I had invested when I did. Like, now what do I do? Do I take it out? And I have to like bring myself back to Marcus and be like, I literally have zero control over like what's
Over
happened.
that, yeah.
Like, what do I, if I'm going to change anything, can I change anything? If not, I need to focus on something else that I actually have some type of like impact on. But it's crazy to your point that like that came from someone so long ago in a situation so different than mine or yours.
Is that mindset something that you can and do bring to all areas of your life, or is it just kind of unique to one thing?
I try to bring it to every area, but I mean, we all have blind spots, man, right? I'm sure there's some things that I'm sure if you asked Julia, my fiance, she'd be like, well, he probably doesn't do it right here so well.
Oh, I'll tell you all his blind spots.
I'd like to think that I try to apply it, but I'm sure I got a lot of blind spots. Yeah.
What about, and I know a big part of your work and like how you got here, which we'll definitely get into.
Yeah.
What about the dating scene? What about the putting yourself out there, trying to find a mate, trying to find a partner? Is that something that really helped you in finding your fiance and really kind of being happy and secure in your relationship, is understanding the things that you can and cannot control in the dating scene?
Yeah. So for anyone who's seen any of my content, like dating advice or just commentary plays a big role in it. And it's a funny thing because I consistently meet people who are like, oh, like, I like your content. The dating stuff's a little cringy though. I'm like, all right, but that must be, it played an instrumental role in my life because I was someone who was like so insecure about being able to put myself out there with girls, that like going through the process of being able to be comfortable, like being uncomfortable in those situations, it changed how I like approach everything in life, because that applies to business, to just any relationships, to travel, to investing, right? Like it was the vehicle that taught me the most like valuable lesson that I learned. And I know that there's a lot of other guys, like it's a common thing, especially now, probably more than ever. Like men are, I saw some graph a couple days or weeks ago that like currently the amount of like sexless men in their 20s is, I don't know what I'm gonna
like guys not having sex.
Yeah, guys who haven't had sex in, I don't know if it was ever in like a time frame, but it's significantly risen since like the 2000s.
Really?
Yeah. So I
would have thought the opposite. Just as the world advances, I mean, we have more ways to communicate and to get out there and meet other people. You would think it would be like, just statistically, if you can meet other people, also the chance of you.
No, I agree. There's dating apps are now like accepted. When they first became around, I remember feeling like I was one of the first people using them. It was like everyone was like, "Oh, I haven't actually like been on a date with one yet." But I don't know the exact reasoning for that. But the point being, I know that's something that like a lot of guys like silently struggle with, because I silently struggled with it. It's not something you're like, I didn't even want to share it with like my closest friends, right? Because you want to pretend like, oh, no, I'm getting laid. It's all good with me. Yeah. So that's. I don't know if that answers your question or not, but
well, it kind of brings me to I mean, a unique thing that you bring up in your story. Well, that really isn't unique to I think most people, and that's like we all kind of have a struggle. We all have an insecurity, especially when we're trying to put ourselves out there to get a date, to find a partner or whatever. Like, What was your biggest insecurity, and why did that keep you? How specifically did it keep you from taking action in the dating world and just in your life?
So my biggest insecurity.
I mean, that's a big question.
Yeah. I don't, it's tough because I mean, I think a surface level, I felt like I wasn't like that attractive or like why would a girl be interested in me when like I could point like that guy's probably more successful, that guy's more jacked than me, that guy like whatever, you know,
All the like external stuff.
yeah. So a lot of external stuff, but I think internally, like what was maybe beneath all that was just the fact that I always felt like I was like behind the curve where everyone else kind of already figured it out, and you fall into this, or I fell into this mindset of like, well, it's probably like too late. And in college, like it's a joke. Obviously, it's not too late, but like you fall in this mindset. I fell in this mindset, like, it's like it's already too late. You know, like it's already. I'm so far behind everyone else. Like it is just too late.
When did you realize that it's actually the opposite of too late? It's I haven't even begun living my life.
Somewhere in my mid to late 20s, I don't know. Right? It's just. Time passes in a funny way, right? Like it seems to pass obviously faster as you get older, but yeah, we even so, we always fall into, at least I always fall into this mental trap of feeling like the next 2 weeks or 2 months is like this is make or break. Like it all comes down to this, and then you look back 6 months, and you're like, oh, there's just like another bump in the road.
Nothing.
Yeah.
How do you deal with insecurities now? Like when they come up in your life, I'm assuming they still come up because
of course
you're a human being.
Yeah.
But you know, how have what you've applied from Marcus Aurelius, how have you applied what you've learned in your past to recognize them now and like not live in fear, not live behind them anymore? Or do you still?
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's probably more just being open about them, right? And because when you like hide things, or when I always try and like reframe it, because I don't know how everybody else operates, but like for me, I know
just you.
If I hide something, then like some shame develops about it, then it seems like a bigger deal, and then like I hide it even more, and then I don't want anyone to know about that even more. So I think it's more just like trying to be open as things come up, that like maybe this is bothering me, or I don't know why this is bothering me, but it is, type of thing, right? Because it's so easy to hide things, or like want to portray an image to everyone else. And I try my hardest to not, I don't know, obviously through the YouTube channel, I feel some type of responsibility, and I try and portray an image of anything of like, I don't know anything, I haven't figured anything out, I'm just as lost, I'm probably more lost than you are, bro, honestly.
The truth. Yeah. The truth with us all, that's for damn sure.
Yeah.
But when you're putting stuff out there, I mean, you're not only helping yourself work through insecurities and work through problems, and also like the good stuff, like celebrating accomplishments. When you put that out there, I'm sure that's got to resonate in unique ways with different people in your audience. What's some of the feedback you get with people that maybe you share an insecurity, you share something that you struggle with, and they're like, damn, like that helped me so much. Like, is it that obvious for some people, or do they still struggle even when you lay it out for them?
Well, what's funny to me is that as I've like gone, I think, a little further along my personal journey, whether it's through dating, you know, if you watch some of my older videos, I was still like kind of insecure dude, putting myself out there, trying to figure it out, much less successful in terms of like business and money. And I think to some extent, the people connected with the content more than now. And I think it's just maybe being just more and more like raw and having figured out less things was just immediately relatable to a wider range of people. And I found the type of content I produce is a little bit more challenging to stay relatable as I've figured things out. And it's an interesting thing, because at first I'd be like upset when I saw comments that like, well, you're flexing now, you know, you're driving this car, or you have this girl, or you're on this vacation. And in my mind, I was like, at first I was upset. I was like, well, like, isn't that like the point of like trying to,
that's what
like,
I've been working on the whole time.
Yeah, isn't it the point to like grow? Like, why would you want to watch me if I just spun in my wheels for 3 years and did nothing? Like, then you shouldn't be probably listening to me. But I mean, that's a different thing. I think that's also human nature, right?
Sure.
We like to cheer people along who are like behind us, but then as soon as they maybe like surpasses, then all of a sudden it changed from cheering them on to kind of wanting to like find reasons why
Yeah.
Like he's doing okay with that, but like he's a loser because of that type of thing. It's like this human nature that we just want everyone to be on our level.
So we're all watching on the sidelines. We're watching you run this race, and we want you to just keep going, keep going, keep going.
Like when you're the underdog, it's like we want this guy to do better. And then as soon as you're not the underdog, it's like, no,
it's like,
I don't like this guy.
Wait, he crossed the finish line? Shit, I didn't think that was going to happen.
Yeah, it's why I guess it's because it's like, why do you think that is? It's just like a reflection of ourselves. I don't know.
What about when you did, kind of going with the relationship stuff still, when you did meet Julia, your now fiance, when you went from being the guy talking about the dating scene, confidence, getting dates, getting girls, getting a partner, to having it, did that change your perspective in that type of content? Or what did that do for you personally, and how you helped other guys do the same thing?
Well, it's tough because I felt like, and you've been in a relationship for a long time, now
almost 10 years,
And I think that being in a relationship is actually significantly more challenging than being single.
Totally different challenges.
Correct. It's a different set of challenges, and I think that's it's tough because it's a different perspective, right? And then maybe figured something out. At least I'm in a place where I'm happy. And if I was trying to figure out, if I was struggling with my business and I wanted to get advice with that, I'd probably want to talk to someone who also struggled and like learned the lessons and then got successful. Whereas I think some people, it becomes less relatable. Like, well, why would I take advice from this guy who he's in a relationship, he's not single? And it's that same, I don't know if that's just people looking for like an excuse, why this doesn't apply, why they're in a special case or what.
I hear you, man. I think like fitness analogies always just kind of come first to mind to me. And so it's like, there's a coach that is a year ahead of you, right? A trainer that you start working with, and like they're more aesthetic, stronger, they know more and they've applied more than you. Yeah. Like, and they're going to teach you how to get muscle, how to build the habits, how to do these initial things. Yeah. But also like the person who's been doing it for 20 years, that is no longer a beginner. Like, you don't think they can also teach you some things? Yeah. So it's like the person who is going to teach you, who is single, like what's going on in the dating world, can teach you some things. But you don't think also the person that's been there and applied it and maintained that, you don't think they also can share some stuff?
Well, I don't want to learn from someone who's been through like the exact situation I've been in. If I was someone who was overweight and trying to lose weight, I wouldn't want to be following a guy who was really skinny and struggled to put on muscle, because maybe he knows a lot about that. And maybe it at the end of the day, obviously nutrition and workout can be simplified to some extent. Sure. Yeah. Still, I think I'd connect more with someone who was overweight and really struggled to lose weight and then figured out a way to do that, because inevitably there's probably some small little mindsets or like habits or things that he had to figure out that maybe aren't like textbook, like calories in, calories out.
The humanization aspect, like something that that he did, she did, that like you can actually resonate with as a human being.
Because I can sit there and say, hey, bro, you got to eat less calories. You got to make sure your protein's high. You probably should increase your caloric expenditure. And those are all true. And that's, at the end of the day, that is what you have to do. But someone who's been overweight might say, but here's like a little tip that really changed how I looked at my breakfast or my dinner, that I just wasn't in that situation because I wasn't someone. I had the opposite problem. I was very, very scrawny.
Hard gainers, man. Hard gainers for sure. I got that in common with you. Yeah. What about when you did, like, you got serious with Julie, you got serious with your relationship? Yeah, I know that's also when kind of like the timeline of you began to take more seriously what you were doing and how you were doing it in terms of social media, YouTube, content creation. Yeah. How were you able to be serious in a relationship and be serious with stepping out on your own? Because those are two very big, grandiose endeavors that inherently require a lot of time and energy. So how did you go about both?
Well, it's funny. Me and my buddies used to have a saying that, like, you're either getting girls or you're getting money. And meaning when you're single, if you're really trying to, like, especially someone like me or some of my friends at the time who were like, we came from a place of insecurity, so we wanted to be going on a lot of dates, but that was trying to prove something to myself looking back, right? Like I was trying to prove to myself, no, I actually, like, I have this ability, like I can do this. But when I was prioritizing that so much that inevitably, like, a lot of times the social media or the business stuff I was trying to do on the side would suffer because of every night I'm like, well, I got to go like run to meet this girl or something. Then
wasn't getting the time or attention.
Exactly. Yeah. So I think, I mean, right when I met Julia was right at like the foundation of when things started to gain momentum. I think it actually brought some stability to my life. She's also extremely supportive.
How did introducing a new variable, your new partner,
Yeah.
introduce stability to your life? I think it's really important.
Well, on a surface level, no longer was I trying to, if I'm at the gym, like trying to find a spot a cute girl and like talk to her. And if I was, it no longer was, because I'm not someone who even really likes nightlife. So no longer was I like, well, I'll go out Friday, Saturday night, you know, it was maybe I can meet someone.
So like reduce distractions, is that fair to say?
Definitely reduce distractions. On like, that's like number one, I would say, because now all that time and energy I was putting towards that, I was still spending time hanging out with Julia.
Right, yeah.
But it wasn't like I was like stressing about, well, like I have to like make sure that I'm meeting new people. Otherwise, I'm not going to be going on any dates anymore. You know what I mean? It was like, it took like a mental load off of my plate.
Yeah.
But also I think if you find the right person who supports you and you can support them, like there's some, like it becomes like a symbiotic relationship, right? It's not, because there's definitely girls before that I dated briefly or not briefly where maybe even further distracted me than if I was single. I mean, you see that a lot, right? I was definitely, I'm sure maybe you have. You ever been in relationships? Like definitely, like if this is like baseline stress levels, like if you're in a good relationship, baseline stress levels should probably be here. If you're not in a good relationship, baseline stress levels are like, are like all the way up here.
I know exactly what you mean. I know exactly what you mean. Yeah. As soon as you said that, it's red flags popping up in the back for sure. But you know, I think that's a thought, that's a misconception that a lot of people, not just guys, have about going into a relationship, or even not even going into a full-blown committed relationship, but just anything more than like any of your time and energy is like you think by doing that, you have to give up everything else that you're hungry for, or just you think it's become a new distraction. I'll throw Max under the bus right now too. I mean, like he is a walking, talking example of just like what I've been trying to say for so long with him. He's just like, I don't want a girlfriend, can't get a girl, like I don't have time for it. They're gonna take all my money, I'm gonna get divorced. Like all these things, just worst case scenario, which you guys talked a lot about in that episode on his show, and I loved. But it's just like, just when the right person comes along, and I know that's hard to say, like the right person has to be there, all that goes out the window, and it doesn't become a distraction. It helps you reduce all the other distractions, and you realize what becomes, and what always has been, the most meaningful aspects of your life, and you just like double down on those, right?
Yeah, no, it becomes like you're the main part, like the cornerstone of your support system. It's just tough because we fool ourselves in the early stages of relationships, right? We just fool ourselves into assuming we really like the girl, even if it's bringing us to that high stress level. A lot of times we fool ourselves into thinking like, no, this is the right thing. Like this is what I want to do. Meanwhile, all of your friends are telling you like, man, like you're not like enjoying life anymore. What's going on? So, but if you're in the right fit, and it's tough. I think that's really tough. And even now, especially, I think that that's a lot of people, men's and women's frustration in the dating market is that we have more options than ever. We probably have more distractions than ever, more stressors than ever. And it's really tough. I think a lot of it's timing that like, obviously you both need to be physically attracted to each other. You both need to have like some type of personalities and lifestyles, the vibe. But on top of all that now, especially like the timing has to match up that you're both in a space where you can be like open to having a healthy relationship develop. And I think that's the hardest part about dating right now.
It is. And for me, that kind of reminds me of where I wanted to go next, which is perfect, is like the right person's going to come along, not when they're the right person, but when you are ready to receive anyone in that capacity.
Yep.
And so many other variables in your life have to, I think, at least be at a new baseline for your cup to be able to receive anything else.
Yeah, and a lot of it, I think you like need to not want it, right?
Yeah,
you need to be in a position where, and maybe that's what happened with Max, right? He was in a position where he so just didn't want it, was not open to having it, because when you're in that position, you don't like, you're not going to ignore the red flags. If anything, you're going to be a little bit more aware of the red flags. Not that, and it's a tough advice to give because you can't, if someone's like really like when I was like just really wanted female attention, you told me, hey bro, just look at it, don't look at anything as being a serious relationship. Think that you don't want a relationship. You can't just like tell someone that. They need to like actually be in a space where the other parts of their life are like moving in a good direction.
What about the individual? Because I think that's a crucial component that people kind of forget about in relationships. And I personally believe is a crucial component to maintaining a healthy relationship is you have to have the relationship with yourself
Yep.
be as much of a priority as the one with your partner. So how do you maintain, David? How do you keep the relationship with yourself healthy and thriving and challenging and flourishing, aside from the David you bring to the table of David and Julia?
I mean, honestly, that's something I struggle with, I think, just especially now with all the different things that I feel like I'm juggling between the social media, the businesses, the relationship, the marriage is coming up. We've been like alternating between building all these houses and stuff, man. So I feel like that's something that's been sacrificed, which is not good, right? But a lot of times that's what happens when like you're burning the candle at both ends. Like what gets sacrificed is like your time for yourself. I try and catch myself when I'm really frustrated about things. Because I think the natural thing we do is to like take it out on the people that are closest to us, right? Not intentionally, but like we're mad with something, and then that person,
It just comes out.
yeah, they're trying to talk to us about something, and you're just like, yo, like blah 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 blah, and you're like putting your problem you have now on them. So I try in those moments, unsuccessfully a lot, right? But I try in those moments to like take a step back and remind myself like these are problems that are like part of like owning a business, or these are problems that are part of being a YouTuber. And like, if I can't deal with these part of the process, then like I shouldn't be here. So a lot of times internalizing those things like, hey man, this is part of the process. And like taking a few breaths, going for a walk, going on the balcony by myself. That helps me get through those tougher times. But yeah, I mean, I think therapy is something that I've never like formally worked with a therapist, but it's something I've always wanted to do, just to, I feel like that it can't hurt, right? It can't, it's like a little insurance policy at the very least.
I recommend it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Have you had like good experiences with that? Because again, that's something I've always been interested to do. And just,
it's something that, you know, I think you're going to have, particularly with mental health therapy and like in that kind of fitness, your mental fitness.
Yeah.
It's like, you got to find the right person. Like, if you're going to a therapist and getting professional help, like, because it's such a vulnerable experience, a very intimate experience. More often than not, I think, and like things don't work out because you are saying things, you're allowing things to feel and rise to the surface that you've never really allowed in a long time. And so no matter who is in front of you, it's going to feel weird and shameful, and you know, you're going to want to run for the hills. But if you can find the right person, and oftentimes I think we should just start with ourselves. I mean, that's kind of what it was for me. Just, you know, just putting myself in a space to where I could just brain dump things out on a piece of paper, journal, voice memo, whatever it needed to be. Like, I was my own therapist first, because I needed to hear these things that were going on in my head and my heart that were just running amok, so that I could like give weight to some of them and really lean into the things that needed to be leaned into to then share with somebody. So it's like I needed to kind of find the right way for me to feel and translate it and share it first, so that I knew, all right, I need to find the right person for this. If that makes any sense.
So like writing things down was a way for you to like physically extract them from your head.
Have you ever done that? Have you ever just like sat down, just brain dump, just stream of consciousness, just the things that come out? Like, I had no idea I was thinking about this, feeling about this. Have you ever done like a writing exercise like that?
Not in a long time.
Bro.
I used to write a lot, and actually now that you bring it up, I think that was a helpful byproduct of it. Yeah.
It's so powerful. It's scary, but powerful.
Yeah.
Well, I want to shift gears a little bit.
Okay.
And kind of, we've been talking about a big part of like what you do, but there's a lot of other things that you do. Killing it on YouTube. You got an apparel line. You've got a new supplements brand coming out, a new supplements line coming out, and so many other things. Like, what is it like to be a modern day creative? Like, how do you define that? Do you even define yourself as that? Like, how do you even really wrap your head around what you do and how you do it all?
I'm not sure I know how to answer the question.
I think I just heard your brain explode a little bit.
Yeah. It's tough, right? Because inevitably when you put like focus on one area, then other areas slip, and it becomes like a balancing act where obviously having help now, which is something I put off for years, like having, you know, different employees or agencies I work with, like plays a big part in it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's tough to know, okay, I can trust this person with this, I can trust this person with this. But I think it becomes like a balancing act in terms of each day having like a check on each project or each business, or, you know, each thing that's going on. Like, okay, what's the next step here? Is that being done? Inevitably, certain things require more attention from time to time, whether that's YouTube or the supplement brand. And obviously then like, okay, this is like a week we're really going to be pushing for the next launch for the clothing brand. And then the other things are just going to fall behind. So I think it's being okay, like living in a little bit of state of chaos, right? Like living in a little state of chaos.
Yeah. I love that. Like, I don't know what to do if I'm not living inside the eye of a hurricane.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but I definitely feel once I'm at least aware that that's happening instead of just living blind, I feel like I'm able to just navigate the storm. You know, like I want to have all this stuff going on because seeing things work, seeing things fail, seeing how they work, how they fail, and then being able to like reapply things all the time is just like, it's just this feedback loop.
I also feel like we're capable of handling so much more than we would think. Like right now, on top of the supplement line that's been in the works for a while, the clothing brand, which we're doing more and more consistent like collections than we have, the fitness app, the YouTube channel, like on top of those things, which just thinking logically, I'd be like, that's too much. But then we have like the wedding, we have a situation like with our housing that we're like, you know, we're building a house and a lot of travel coming up as well. And it's too much right now. I'll be honest, it's too much right now. No. Like there's like a level of being in the eye of the hurricane.
Yeah.
I'm drifting into the hurricane, man. I'm drifting into the hurricane. But the point is, I think the more you bite off, the more you realize, oh, I can actually I can actually chew this much. I might even be able to bite off a little bit more. And I think it's playing with that line is, I mean, maybe it's not for everyone because I think I have higher stress levels than if I just like deleted half of these things.
Sure, yeah.
But it's finding like a place where it's like life's exciting. We're making progress in different areas, but it's not so much that I literally have zero time and I wake up and all my time's taken and I'm going to bed later than I want to and I'm not sleeping enough. And those times happen as well.
Yeah. How do you know when to pivot, or do you ever pivot with something, or is it just a reorganization of a product or a project? Like, have you ever, for example, come to realization like, no, we need to just like a hard left here? How do you know when to do that? What does that look like?
I'm very much someone who doesn't think very far ahead, and I don't mean that. Maybe it is irresponsible. I don't know, but I don't think very far ahead.
What do you mean, like?
So like with like the clothing brand, I'm really focused on like, okay, well, we need to have like if we have a drop coming next month, well, obviously we need to be planning the marketing for that. Then the drop after that's probably in production now, so we don't really need to be doing anything about that. But the drop after that needs to at least the samples need to at least be already like on the way to us.
Yeah.
But I'm not really thinking past that, right? Obviously, as soon as one happens, okay, now we have to like move down the pipeline to the next one. So because of that, I feel like I'm someone who makes a lot of small changes as I go.
Okay, yeah.
Rather than like, we've been doing this for like 3 years. Okay, we need to do something completely different, right? So maybe the end result's the same, but I don't like start here, go here, and then end up here. I feel like it's like,
yeah. Was that on purpose, or just kind of like you just feel that's naturally how I work best, and that's kind of just how I show up with these projects?
I mean, I think that it's tough when you're in like operating mode, like we're just performing, we're operating, we're executing, and then sometimes you have to step back and be in like analysis mode, right? And that's probably something I need to do more frequently. But then when you do that, there's always something that can be optimized a little bit. And sometimes you don't need to optimize something just to do it, but you can also go down a path, I feel like, of tweaking, I don't know, let's say like the lighting for product photos on a website, where like that's minimally important. Like
we were doing that right before we recorded here. Yeah,
let's get these
he's a
lights
lighting
on.
man, everybody. He was like, "Can we turn these down 20%?"
Or for example, with YouTube, I can get into a like obsessive state where I'm supposed to upload a video and it's uploaded, but then I spend 3 hours messing with the title and thumbnail before I put it live. And if I put it live with the original title and thumbnail, it's probably a similar enough concept that wasn't going to have that much of impact on performance. I don't know. Like that was not the best use of those 3 hours.
Maybe not.
Yeah, but then maybe you also could end up with a worse result. You know, that YouTube, I hate.
But you'll never know.
Yeah, you'll never know. That's the hard thing.
Yeah. Obsessing about something, obsession in this day and age, I think is happening a lot more than it used to, because we have more things that we're literally creating more things.
Yeah.
And so we have more ways to look at what we're creating, what they look like, what they sound like, what they feel like. And there's more of an immediate way for us to know or predict at least the type or size of audience that's going to receive that. It's different. We're like, I think, creating something for ourselves.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe at the true artist level, it doesn't matter, because that artist is going to create like everything as their masterpiece, whether everyone in the world saw it or no one saw it.
Yes.
But I mean, you just said like you might spend a couple of hours over a thumbnail and a title. How do you really look at that? do you truly look at that as an obsession, or is that really where like the creative juices just have to be flowing?
Yeah, I think it's definitely helpful if the creative juices are flowing, because if not, you go down a path of like, okay, this guy did a similar video and it performed above average on his channel. Does that mean it's going to perform above average on my channel? But that's not an apples to apples comparison. So usually the videos that do the best are when you have, or at least for me, I have like a spark of inspiration. Like that would be a really cool concept, because then it also feels different, I think. Maybe it feels more authentic, and those ones always tend to do the best versus if it's like the day of putting it live and it's like you've already filmed it. I feel like it's a good video, but I don't know if I should position it like this or like this. And it starts to feel very significant. But to your point, I mean, it is, because if you drop a video on YouTube, just as an example, and initially the click-through rate is 16% instead of 9%, YouTube's going to show it to a lot more people. And that video could now get 150,000 views instead of 50,000 views. So it feels significant. That being said, if it's a similar concept, it's probably not that big of a variance. But yeah, I don't know. You kind of have to look at YouTube, or I try to look at YouTube as like, is this like a growth video that should appeal to people who have no idea who I am, or should this be more like a audience nurturing video, where this is a little bit more maybe intimate with my audience? The views aren't going to be as high, but it's going to, it's more like connecting on a deeper, more vulnerable level with the people who are following the channel.
Does that ever completely prohibit you from putting something out there?
Yeah.
Really?
Well,
so you think you did something great, but just like getting maybe caught in analysis paralysis of that small little thing at the end prohibits you from it?
Oh, no, I would never not put a video. I've never like filmed an edited video and not put it out there. Well, I mean, it would be nice to be able to title a video like like a day in my life, number 54, but like it's just gonna bomb.
That's right? What it used to be.
Yeah, no, that's what
full day of eating, 543. Yeah.
People get more creative, production quality gets higher, more and more creative people come into the space, it becomes more competitive. Now you're competing against maybe millions of people who are all operating on a high level, whereas just 5 years ago, maybe you're operating against thousands or tens of thousands of people who weren't operating on as high of a level. And that's social. I mean, that's Instagram now, right? It's everything.
Being someone who is on a lot of different platforms, do you feel like there's a natural next step coming, whether that's with social media in general, platforms in general, or you? Like, so as you create and put out different types of content on different platforms in different ways, are you connecting some dots and thinking, oh, I want to do something completely different? Something like there's a stepping stone here that hasn't been created yet.
Man, I just love YouTube. Like I'm a YouTuber.
He's like, nah, just YouTube, just straight up.
No, like I just love like not just for making it, but for watching it. Like I genuinely love a video that's like 5 to 15 minutes long. It's long enough that it can go in depth, but I also don't have to set aside a huge chunk of time to watch it.
Right,
I also like creating that, because you can be creative. You can express an idea a lot more completely than in a 30-second or 60-second Instagram reel. But it's not as much of a time commitment. Like if I was going to try and edit a video the level I like to edit my video and film it, and it's going to be 60 minutes, like a podcast, it just wouldn't be viable for me to make very many of them.
Okay, yeah.
So I like that. I mean, obviously the trend right now seems to be just shorter, like more and more like TikTokified.
Even on YouTube.
Yeah, even on YouTube.
You see YouTube length, like kind of the demand be shorter format videos?
Well, even if you you look at someone like Jesse James West, who his channel over the last 2 years is just, and yeah, I love him, man. I know him. I love him. He's a great guy. If you watch his video, they're a little bit like what I'd consider TikTokified in the sense that it's the same thing if you look at like a David Dobrik type of video.
Okay, yeah.
You're not sitting down and the shots are going to be quicker. There's going to be more like emotion in each shot. There's going to be a lot of hype between each shot. And they're masters. These people are masters at holding your attention span. Even if maybe you're not super invested into the exact piece of content that they dropped, it's filmed and edited in a way that you're like, man, I didn't realize I just watched this for 10 minutes.
Yeah.
And for me, I'll be honest, I'm a little bit sour about that, because like I try and like craft my videos in a way that like tell a story and like one thing like builds onto the next thing. And that doesn't resonate as much, and it's like, but it's reality is that people are used to now scrolling through Instagram. Instagram Reels are like I say, like the number one probably form of content people are consuming now. They're used to this scrolling, and if they don't, I think they call it the thumb stop ratio. Like it doesn't stop your thumb from scrolling in like that first second. You're on to the next thing, and I think that's stolen a lot of steam from YouTube. So I've been trying to like make more. But to answer your question, what's next? As I'm going off on a tangent.
No, it all contributes to the answer. Yeah.
Yeah, it's tough to see because I just like because I'm a stubborn YouTuber, but it seems like it's getting shorter, more less attention span, but I don't know how much more in that direction it can go. And it's funny because also now long form podcasts are becoming more and more popular. So I don't know. Does it start to swing back towards like YouTube just because things change or the old styles come back into fashion?
I think so. Yeah, I think it's just like, I mean, look, 90s fashion, 90s streetwear is all back in now. Like,
yeah,
it just everything comes in cycles. Like we're saying in the beginning, like we're humans. No matter what we do or create, or how we evolve in society, we're still humans. We still have these natural tendencies and cycles that are just, I think, innate in us.
Marcus Aurelius, he probably pumped out a lot of TikTok content.
They probably did. I wonder what would like a stoic short form content, like instead of them in, the Senate just like talking, debating for days.
Yeah.
They're like, all right, listen, Seneca, bro, like give me your best shit. You got 10 seconds to go. And it's all like in Latin. You can barely say 3 words in 10 seconds in Latin.
They're all about like denying themselves like pleasure and things.
Yeah, true.
Maybe like just like jump off the Senate or something. I don't know. Just like roll down the hill.
What's like the craziest idea you've had for a video that you haven't done yet?
Man.
And why haven't you done it?
I'm gonna have to come back to that.
All right.
There's nothing immediate that comes to mind.
Or I'll parlay that question. What do you see not being done in the social media space that like is just like, why hasn't anybody done this yet? Or are we just too stemmed out? Has everybody done everything? We're just like oversaturated with wild, crazy ideas.
I think the latter. I think that especially because the younger generation now, instead of idolizing like athletes, they want to be YouTubers, or maybe now they want to be a different type of creator. I don't know. That evolved so quickly that I think, and it's a good thing, right? But because it's more competition and then more like innovation inevitably into creative space. I don't know. I mean, I'm shocked when I scroll through YouTube the different video ideas I see. I don't, and that's why I don't think I have an answer for the first one. Is that, man, I don't know. It seems like every video out there is already been
I don't
made.
know what is not possible yet. I don't know what I could not do. I don't know if I'm saying that correctly, but
yeah, no,
everything's almost been done.
It's a good question, but I feel like there's YouTubers out there who are very good at thinking of a really insane concept. You're like a Mr. Beast. You watch each of his videos, and he invests like, I think when he's on the Rogan podcast, he said he invests like millions into some videos and then doesn't even publish them because he's not happy with them. When you have people like that who are doing it at that scale, it's tough, right? Because the way I film, I'm like kind of a one-man crew when I'm doing this, maybe two-man, man and woman. Julie helps out a lot. A certain scale is not really achievable unless like we're going to sacrifice a lot of other things we're doing to make it happen.
Yeah. Do you think our creators now, are we in our own right, our own platforms, our own modalities, are we setting the example of, hey, to this generation, next generation, setting the example of, hey, here's what's possible, literally being anything by just picking up your phone, picking up a camera, picking up a microphone? Or are we setting an unobtainable goal, an unrealistic example, because like the bar is set so high now? Like, what is left to accomplish?
It's a good question. I have like a return question for you. It's not the same, but is because people idolize these careers, and inevitably this content content provides value to people. Maybe it's pure entertainment, but if someone's taking their time to watch something, there's some value there. But I'm maybe slightly worried, is society like swinging in a direction where so many people are interested in creating entertainment value only, that like actual like utilitarian things will suffer in not like tomorrow, but in like 10 or 20 years. That how many people growing up are going to, I know when I talk to people who, for example, have more like own a traditional business where it's like steel workers or something, like we can't find anyone to work for us anymore. No one wants to do this type of work. Or even I think the same thing could be said a lot of times of mechanics or things like
Instead
that.
of going to like a trade school, people are going to a mastermind on how to grow a YouTube channel.
Yeah, so I was
Yeah.
like, part of me is like nervous. Like, are we going too much in that direction that like society will continue? I mean, I guess that's a bigger question because
That's a really
like,
good question.
the United States, I know, has shifted our economy has shifted to just like straight services, and I'm not saying those aren't valuable, but we don't no longer really even produce that many things. And like, is it going to go even more to that direction? To like, when we're not even services, we're just like TikTokers like doing dances.
Hey, somebody has to keep the tech rolling, you know. So I guess IT is always good.
Yeah,
I don't know. Well, what's on the horizon for you, man? You know, we've been talking about a lot of things that you've done and that you do, but I know there's more. Like, what's on the horizon? What are you most excited about? What can you share with us?
I mean, the next big thing we've been working on is the supplement brand. I don't want to self-promote, but like we
Please,
truly
yeah.
are. Like, pre-workout's the main supplement out there that people buy, just in terms of volume, and we really did craft like a formula that's a tier above anything else that I've seen on the market. And I
doubt.
try a lot of pre-workout, and we're gonna have a smaller profit margin because we're packing like high doses of a lot of it. It's almost like it's gonna be a pump, and like a cognitive,
Like a nootropic kind of
like
thing?
a nootropic,
Cognitive
all
performance
kind of
enhancer?
twisted into one.
Ooh, nice.
And I like it because then I'll work out, and then I'll just my brain will just be on for the next like 4 hours to crank out work.
Yeah.
So I think it's gonna be something that if people try it out, they'll want to keep trying it out. And then the idea will be that each drop we have, we
Iteration.
introduce, and it's meant to be a little more lifestyle, not like hardcore bodybuilding brand. So we'll probably introduce like a greens in there, things like that. Not. It's tough to be like a groundbreaking supplement, because if someone's saying it's a groundbreaking supplement, I'd probably be a little bit skeptical of like
what's in that? Why is it groundbreaking?
Yeah.
All the ground's already been broken.
Yeah, man, the amount of studies and literature we have and everything's pretty high, but at least trying to make it that, the like products that, and I can only base it on myself, but like, well, if I was a consumer, I just want to keep getting this one because it's better than the other ones that I've tried. So that's kind of the next thing. Other than that, just trying to grow the clothing brand Edge to a bigger and bigger audience, and I think that it offers a good combination of things that not one specific other brand offers. And just keep doing YouTube. But at this point, YouTube, I'd love to see it keep growing.
Yeah.
It's tough with all these other factors that we've talked about.
I mean, you're already over 1 million. I mean, so more growth. I mean, that's it would be amazing, of course, but like you definitely hit a huge benchmark, man.
Yeah.
What's your current subscription?
Yeah, like 1.1. It's funny.
Nice,
we
nice.
got to 1 million. We kind of flatlined a little bit. And I'm not sure. I think there's a lot of factors there. One, I think just today alone, we talked about maybe the relatability for the type of content I make is unfortunately hurt it a little bit. I think that all the other types of content that have come out, like Instagram or even people doing YouTube that have a little bit more of a catchy style or like keep you glued style. I think
because you were growing your channel predominantly. Correct me if I'm wrong. The majority of your growth happened before really all this short format kind of like really took off in the last year and a half, 2 years, right?
Yeah, we grew really quick. I'd say we started 2017, picked up 2018, 2019, 2020 through like the lockdown days. And I'd say it's slowed down a little bit, and I don't know if it's my focus has also been more divided as the other projects have grown. So I do YouTube now just because I love it. B, I feel a connection to the people who do watch it, and I hope that it keeps growing. But it's at a point too where I'll do it just because I love it, and hopefully it grows.
I don't know if you know this, but actually, like years ago, I did a YouTube channel as well.
Yeah,
like a personal one. And it was like what anybody in the health fitness space was doing back 2014.
Oh, that's old time.
I think I technically started it. Here's what happened. So Max was doing his channel, and I would pop up every once in a while in the gym. The first year of Max's channel, I was holding his camera.
I didn't know
90% of the time.
I didn't know that.
It's me holding the camera.
Yeah.
I would pop in every once in a while. Yeah. And people would ask, like, "Oh, is your brother gonna do one?" And I was like, I made a joke. I was like, "If you guys give me 500 subscribers, like, I'll do a channel." Yeah. And literally, like overnight, I got like 500 subscribers. Yeah. So I was like, "Fuck, no, I gotta do it."
I gotta follow
through.
And
so then I was like, "Okay, cool." So I mean, then I did men's lifestyle, like style videos, some relationship stuff, vlogs, fitness.
Yep.
But I actually been thinking a lot about this recently because I've been kind of, speaking of going in cycles as a human being, I've been kind of feeling like that just, I feel like I do a lot of things in a creative way.
Yep.
But there's something, I'm sure you know, there's something unique about YouTube, making YouTube videos that is a whole different beast of creativity. And I've been kind of feeling just like wanting to express myself again in the way that you only can on YouTube.
Yep.
But I stopped my channel. I did a couple of videos here and there over the last couple of years, but really I stopped it as what it was probably like 3 years ago.
Yeah.
I grew up to like, it was like 21,000 subscribers.
I mean, that's a lot, man.
I did a lot of military videos as well, and like those really popped off, like a couple 100,000 views. And so, but I never leaned into what worked, which I'm an idiot for. Like I should have just made it like a military men's channel, and
Yeah.
I never like kept it going because I was always doing it for other people.
But that's interesting you bring up, because I find that happens with a lot of people who are at least like, you took it seriously for a big chunk of time.
Yeah, like 3 years.
And there's
3, 4
always like a
years.
certain type of video usually that people make that does well, and it tends to be one that they don't enjoy making as much.
Yeah,
for
yeah,
whatever
yeah,
reason.
yeah,
Like for me,
yeah.
it was me approaching girls on the street.
Yeah.
And at first I enjoyed it, but it got to a point where I just they weren't that fun to make. But I feel like I have to keep making these
Because they work.
because they work.
Yeah.
And I did double down on them, and it did, I think, contribute to a lot of the initial growth of the audience. Then I was able to taper off. But yeah, but YouTube allows you, it allows you to build, like, it's tough on Instagram, I feel like, to really, there's people I follow who I don't know, and I don't really feel like super connected to them.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like if I unfollow them by accident, I wouldn't like really
Yeah,
be like,
yeah.
oh wait, where
Or
is it?
Instagram
Where-
probably does. I feel like it follows people left and right.
No, that
Like,
was all
who
the
are
time.
you? How did you pop up here?
No, it happens all
Yeah.
the time, man. That's what I like about YouTube, is that anyone you follow, you kind of feel like they're a character in your life a little bit. Yeah, it's my buddy, like I'm watching, right?
True. So true. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's what it was. Like, I think if I went back, if I wanted that channel to succeed, I should have just made it predominantly military
Or at
content.
least like half, and the other half just like whatever you want to make.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That stuff just always popped off, and I don't know. I don't know. Like, is this just like a fleeting itch that I should just film something and just get out of my system and like don't even post it? Because then it's like, shit. What if I do it and then now I have a new thing that I if I'm gonna do it,
You want to do it.
I got to do it.
Yeah, of course. No, that's what I think. That's what I always tell people. Like, oh, I'm thinking about getting started on this or this, and I'm like, well, first of all, don't do like Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok. I'm like, just pick whichever one that excites you the most, and just like double, triple,
Yeah.
quadruple down. Because that's when my YouTube took off. Actually, it's a
Yeah.
funny thing is I was trying to do a podcast like way back.
Oh shit, really?
The Beastly Gentleman, it was called. It was me and my buddy Dave. Did not last.
That's
long.
not a bad name.
Yeah.
It's not a bad name. It has potential. I like that.
So I had that. I was trying to. This is back when Facebook was still like relevant.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
I was like trying to like grow up the Facebook page. I was trying to grow up the Instagram, and then as well YouTube, and as well my blog. And YouTube only grew in 2017 when I was like, I'm literally doing nothing but YouTube this year, 2 videos a week. And halfway through that year, 3/4 through that year is when like it caught on. But I feel like especially for creative things, it requires like a large degree of focus, not just on like, it's going to take me 5 hours to edit this video and 7 hours to film it or whatever, but like I needed to like live. YouTube needed to live in my mind 24/7, where the only thing I was thinking about was like cool ideas for the next video. And I think that's the only reason that it ever did take off. If I kept juggling other things, I don't think you really have the, like, I've been trying to be more consistent with my Instagram reels lately, because I'm like, I know that you got to be doing Instagram reels, man. It's 2022. Like, that's what you got to be doing.
Got to feed the algorithm, bro.
Yeah. But I can't stay consistent. And it's because, I mean, maybe it's an excuse, but I feel like it's also the explanation is because it's not on my mind 24/7. It's only on my mind when I look at my list of daily things I need to do. And I'm like,
Yep.
well, I don't have one to post, but
When you have accountability staring you back in the face, you're like, fuck.
I'll post. I'll post. I'll crank one out quick and post it. But it's not like, it doesn't have that.
Yeah.
That it's not living in my head. You know.
Yeah. I mean, to your point, I mean, to bring it all home, like spring, early 2019, I was still active on YouTube. I was running my online coaching business, and I was a podcaster.
Yeah.
And I made the decision. Actually, I hired this business coach, and he kind of helped me realize what I really wanted to do the most. And I stopped YouTube. I stopped coaching, and I just leaned to put all my eggs in the podcast basket.
Yeah.
And it's been my full-time thing
That's
ever
awesome.
since. So I mean, to your point, that's exactly right. Like, lean into the things that are pulling you already.
Yeah.
And not to say that you can't come back to these other things, but just like, if you really want to just give it your all and see the potential, give it your all.
It's like that. Have you read that Stephen Pressfield book? What is it? It's something Turning Pro or something. But the idea being that like you have to treat your craft as like I'm a professional at this, and I'm going to do the things a professional would do. Because if you just treat it as like, oh, it's like a fun little thing I'm trying on the side, well, it's gonna be a fun little thing you're trying on the side. It's never gonna be something big.
Yeah. And that's exactly what it was. I want to be a professional podcaster.
Yeah.
Not that I wasn't already. Because I was already doing it and monetizing it, but like,
It's a different mindset.
yeah, that's when I started doing video. That's when I turned it into an in-person experience. I'm like, I just put everything into, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do it the best that I can and just grow it as big as I can and stay as happy and fulfilled in the same process.
You know, there's something about having that like singular focus. There's also something about hiring like a coach, just having an external person that you're like paying for accountability, because I've also used a coach, and it helped me align so many things with like the businesses that I just never had the perspective to do.
So I love this guy. Shout out Jason Phillips, man. I sing his praises all the time. He's a homie. He was my coach. I paid this man thousands of dollars.
Yeah.
Nothing crazy, but a couple G's for one-on-one coaching after seeing what he was doing and is still doing, by the way.
Yeah.
Growing and scaling coaching businesses and fitness and gyms and things like that. And I shit you not, man, the first 15 minutes of our phone call, he's like, Chase, I'm not going to help you grow your coaching business because you won't shut up about the podcast. Do the podcast. I was like, oh, okay, all right, cool. So it worked.
Yeah.
It just didn't work for what I hired him to do.
Yeah. No, but that's probably what a good coach is being able to, I don't know, just have that. It's that external feedback. We, like I said, blind spots, right?
Yeah.
We all have them, and it's always good to have someone to call you out and to just help. It's a lot of things. It's like when people come, a common thing is someone has some like relationship trouble and they come to you, and the answer is always so obvious when they come to you. It's like, man, you obviously should not be with this girl. It doesn't make any sense.
Run.
and they're like, nah, but it's like, it's special. It's like unique. And it's not just for that. It's for anything in life. But it's just funny how obvious it is when you're not, your attachment to things isn't part of the analysis.
So true, man. Well, dude, David, it's been great having you on the show, man. Like I said, I really enjoyed just hearing your story more. And so just like feedback for you, man. I know, not to give you another thing to do, but just, I love hearing people's stories. And I think there's something really, really powerful of sharing your story with other people, especially now on these platforms such as podcasts, YouTube, whatever. But just like what it does for a listener, much less however many listeners in the audience, but for the individual, it's just so powerful, man. So like I know you not having done a lot of these, walking away, I'm hoping from this, but also from Max, because I could hear in your story just like little mini realizations and just things that I know are just, you're going to take back. It's going to be applied to your life. And
it's like writing this stuff down out of your head a
little
bit.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Well, I want to bring it home to the theme of the show here, Everforward Radio. You know us, you know the story behind the name, but I always want to ask my guests' interpretation of that. Everforward, what does that mean to you, man?
I'm gonna bring Everforward with stoicism.
Ooh, I like it.
And you can't control the past, right? You can focus on it, you can regret it, you can wish you had another chance at it, you could want to relive it. But truly, like this moment, but really like everything from here forward are the only things that I have and can have any impact on. So there's no point in stressing or getting super focused on anything else, right? It's got to be the future and being ever forward in your mindset.
So true, man. Like the second you said that, it just reminded me of how far I've come from my initial reason for even calling this Everforward Radio and just what that means to my family. It initially was trying to control the past, trying to just like make meaning and give reason to a horrible event that happened to my family, was still trying to control the past. And the last couple of years, like I've let that go in such a big way, and just like truly leaning into like presence has catapulted me forward in ways that I could never have imagined by still staying so locked onto the past, trying to control that narrative.
That's powerful. But if you're living half of your attentions on the past, like, well, you probably can only achieve half of what you could,
man.
And only enjoy. You can't even enjoy. Maybe you can enjoy 50% of the present moment, right? But it's
we're robbing ourselves of so much joy we don't even realize it, probably.
Yeah,
man. We're gonna have all of your stuff down in the show notes, the video notes for everybody. But where you hang out the most online? Where can they go to connect with you?
How to Beast on YouTube.
Yeah. How to Beast and Beastly Gentlemen coming back?
I don't know. I don't know if I'd wanted to do it, man. I'd want to do it. I'd want to do it at a certain level that I don't think Maybe we'll see. I would say never say
Maybe,
never. Never say never.
Never say never, man. Awesome, dude. Well, pleasure. Thank you, man.
Appreciate it.
Cool. All right, thank you guys so much. Thank you, Ibble, for housing us here in downtown Austin. And that's a wrap for Everforward Radio.